This is iRacing.
Two races, two wins for Andy T. But the technical layouts of Laguna Seca and Donington will be a stark contrast to the draft fest that is Road America today. Let's see if he can run away as easily as we get ready to watch round 3 of the Lotus 79 Sunday Grand Prix Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth is Jeremy Scott. Behind the scenes is our director, Daniel Costello, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Jeremy, this is a track that's pretty close to home for you.
It is. It's always holds a special place in my heart. It's one where I got my pro start, and really, this is a fantastic facility. All in all, it's not called the National Park of Speed for anything, but this facility, you've got to be on your A game, especially here in the Lotus 79s with 3 long straightaways, plenty of passing opportunities. Actually, let's make that 4 because that run from 6 to 8, that is going to be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge with turn 7 mixed in there. But Road America is a gorgeous facility, so why don't we give you a closer look with our track guide. Welcome to Road America. Nicknamed America's National Park of Speed, it's easy to see why just by looking at how the track is laid out. Long straights are a major feature, and drivers will build up incredible momentum before they find themselves interrupted by tight 90-degree corners. In fact, for a 4-mile circuit, it has shockingly few turns. It also has little in the way of variation in layouts. The main course is only broken up once with a single chicane added in the bend version. But don't take this to mean that it's a boring track. Elevation change happens many times over a lap, with a few places taking you into corners which are quite blind. But 2 of the turns on the back half of the course are perhaps the most distinctive. One is the carousel with its more than 180-degree radius. It just feels like it never stops. The other is the kink. Terrifyingly fast with very little runoff, it can end someone's race in a flash. As you'd expect, the heavy braking zones make for some ideal overtaking spots. Turn 5 sees plenty with its downhill entry. The hurried downs can offer drivers a chance at a sneak attack if you're brave, and then Canada Corner gives you one last shot before the lap is over. It's no wonder major organizations such as IMSA, IndyCar, NASCAR, and the SCCA all host major races here. All in all, many drivers rate this track as the best track in North America. Many who hop in the seat and try it can quickly understand why. If we take a look at the track map, it really shows here, Jeremy, what you were talking about those long straights.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? The draft is going to play a big part. Now, one thing that's interesting, what you don't see here is all the elevation changes. You're climbing uphill from corner 12 all the way to right by pit out. Then you go back downhill all the way down to turn 5, steep uphill to turn 6. And then you start to go up downhill. Actually, as you start that downhill run right around turn 6 and then make your way all the way down to Canada Corner. The carousel is going to be a lot of fun, too, because you're going right and you're still going downhill. What's going to be interesting, Joe, how many cars can get flat out through the kink once they get those tires warmed up.
Indeed, and with this being the 3rd round, we're starting to see things shape up in the championship. And right now, it is Andy T who is at the top of things, having taken those 2 wins, naturally. It's not a perfect score. Missed out on 2 bonus points in the very first round, but even still, he's pretty darn close. as Topi Kortsanimi is about 32 points behind. Jacob Reed, sitting back there in third, is flanked very closely by Mikko Leno by a single point to try and decide third currently. Then it gets a little bit close, a little farther down between Valenteus and Shady Ahmad. Adrius is here today, so watch out for him. He could be a challenge for someone like Andy T in these Lotus 79s. But that's just the F1 standings. We also have an F2 championship here. Jeremy, why don't you run us through that?
Yeah, Eduardo Roya is looking pretty good at 104 points. And yeah, Barry West not too far behind in 22 points, I should say. Travis McQuiston and Andrew Dixon, as well as Al Cunningham, rounding out your top five. Bjorn Ackerman, Brandon White, Ben Summers, Keith Herter, and Finlay Melier-Smith. All rounding out your top 10, so really still anybody within striking distance. But as you said, Joe, it's still 2 rounds in. Let's see what we can do here at Road America, which for a lot of different series, it's a wild card.
Yeah, could throw up some different results. Right now, Nazgul Nation on the top of the team's standings. Don't think that is an official team from this era of racing. Most of the rest of these are TVR Racing in the second, with Williams in third, Totoro Racing in P4, followed by Ligier. There you can see some of those teams that start to crop up in the real world in the late 70s, early 80s. Tie between Warsteiner and Brazilian Speedstar at 121 points, back from that Nazgul Nation, and Scuderia Ferrari then close behind them as well. So as we get ready for the qualifying, real quick before we head off to that, Jeremy, why don't you familiarize our audience with the race details?
Yeah, it's an open setup series. You rung what you brung, you wreck out. Well, that's it. You can't go back to the pits and grab your spare car. Of course, 21 laps. It's a long race with it being a 4-mile circuit. You gotta drive through at 17 incident points. So, wheel off. That's 1 incident point. You cause damage in some sort of crash. That's 4x points. So these points can really add up. And if you happen to get 25 of those incident points, Joe, well, that's it. Your race is over.
So you got to hold on to it. You got to keep it on the black stuff. I don't think this will be a track that will be as much of a challenge, as there's not many paved runoff areas to worry about. Interesting to note, as we take a look at the qualifying for the first time, Michael de Turk, our quickest currently. Now, that is after 1 lap. We could still have some changes, and Topi Kortsanimi is behind him by about 0.2 of a second. Now, Michael is fast, don't get me wrong, but him taking pole when Andy T is here, when Adrius Valenteus is here, as one of the people in the spectator area said, this is biblical SOF. This is a high strength of field.
It really is. You're seeing drivers who, normally are in the top split, not here this weekend. They're in the little bit lower splits, as we see Andy T making his way around. Fastest is a 49.5, which, by the way, that's booking it around here at Road America. And you see how quick that he's going around the carousel. If you get a chance in real life, I would highly, highly recommend finding a spot at the carousel where I think the Mission Foods Beach there, which is driver's left right before the King. That's a great spot to watch these cars come through as you're on board with your points leader going through Kettle Bottoms. And we're starting to see some times really snake through. This is going to be one of those passing zones you're really going to want to watch through Canada Corner. Set up glide through the exit. You don't want to hit those exit curbs too much. I've seen many a star driver make their way through there as they come around turn number 14. Andy T looking to set a fast lap, going uphill through past pit in, all the way down the front straightaway under the NTT bridge, across the line, 51.3. So, this is going to be looking good for Turk.
Wow. T had an off track somewhere. That second lap did not count. He is all the way down in 7th now. This hurt. But Adrius Valenteus, his first lap was slow. Second lap, a 49.3. That's also not for pole. Michael de Turk is upsetting the apple cart. He has done some races earlier on this week, so that practice has done him well. He has found a fantastic setup, and I'd have to really check to see when the last time we've seen Michael de Turk get a win in this broadcast race series was. Topi Kortsanimi about 1/10 of a second off of him. We are in for a fun one today. This is going to have some unexpected things happening.
Well, I think so, but at the same time, we've got 22 laps. This is one of those facilities where I would not be surprised to see Valenteus make his way to the front by turn 5 with T challenging for that podium spot. But, Joe, this has been an absolute shocker at the head of the field.
Yeah, you make a good point. If you're going to qualify a bit out of order, this is probably one of the better places to have it happen. As we take a look at the starting grid, and it is Michael de Turk on the top spot with Topi Cortinemi in second. Gabri Martinez starts from third. Andreas Valenteus P4. Miko Leno will start from fifth as Jacob Reed is sixth. Then it's Jack David Spickett in P7, Andy T in 8th, and Shady Ahmad 9th. Timothy Reed rounds out your top 10.
Take a look at 11th through 20th. There'll be rows 6 all the way over to 10. Josephine Becker having a good showing so far this season. She'll start in 11th alongside Gernolf Friesche. JPW Ringwood and Raul Rosas Guardia make up row 7. Row 8, Nick Thiessen and Dylan Frackleton. Row 9, Morea and Aaron Blair. And finally, rounding out your top 20, Karthik Pai and Logan Edwards.
Julius Mueller starts from 21st with Javier Mascara in 22nd. Philip Foot is in 23rd, followed by Diego Ortiz, 24th. Quarter century mark goes to Peter Yurko. After that, it is Jean-Francois Boscas down in 26. That tells you how steep it is. He's way down there. Matthew Cockram, 27th. Jason Krakowiak in 28th, and Cam Porter starting 29th. Thomas Tuba will be 30th with only one more car. Beatrice Yank down there in the 31st position today. Remember, this is top split of 3 that we've got running simultaneously, so it takes a lot to get in here. I think the lowest I rating we've got is 3,049. Holy cow, it's gonna be fun to witness as the drivers are lined up and ready to go, just waiting for a few more to find their way out to the grid. And it is pretty decent track conditions with 83 Fahrenheit on the track surface and 65 Fahrenheit air temperature for our drivers and our virtual fans. Looks like they're all ready to go as the engines now start to rev, and the green flag is out, coming out off the line. It is a very good start from de Turk. He absolutely runs away. Look at that. That's about the best start I think we've seen from the pole sitter in a long, long time. Battle for third with Miko trying to get up the inside of Valenteus. That is Topi Cortinemi, or no, around the outside of Gabri Martinez. I'll get him right eventually there. Martinez in 4th is now ahead of Valenteus in P5, and we head towards the treacherous turn 5 on lap 1 here, Jeremy.
Yeah, already 3 wide right there near the back as we head into turn 5. And it looks like I'm having some sort. There we go. We're overhead side by side for position, and so far so good. Everybody making their way around as we're watching Spickett hold off Reed and T. T still sitting back there in 8th place, but he's gonna see that Reed's not gonna let him have that place too easily as they make their way through the kink at turn number 7. Single file for the most part. A couple of cars going off in turn number 7. That's kind of typical there of the start, but everybody's starting to sort themselves out as we've gone from just a regular bridge, Joe, to the Speedville Brock Bridge.
And I think there was an incident farther back with Julius Mueller off course, gets back on, right on board with ADT, has not gained any position since the start. In spite of the Star-Spangled livery to try and blend in with the surroundings, it's not working out well as that's Jacob Reed not going on defense on the attack instead, and he's going to bring Andy T with him. A cutback underneath from Jack David Spickett, and he gets both the spots back. That was about the best over-under I've ever seen.
Oh, it's been great to see that. So Spickett loses 2 places going into Canada Corner, gets those back. Andy T wondering, what do I have to do to make a pass around here? He tries to go under the gearbox of Reed, and they're going to go side by side. Coming down the front straight away across the line, it's going to be T ahead of Reed by about 100th of a second. But Reed's going to try and do all he can as he's got the line going into turn 1, but he's going to tuck right back in there and let T get on Spickett there for that sixth place, and that's exactly what the points leader's going to do. He's going to close in through turn number 5. We got side by side. That's going to be Dylan Freckleton there in the 15th, going to give up that position.
He's fighting with Peterson in P14 in front of him, and Karthik Pai very close behind as the three of them head down the moraine sweep. Oh, Andy T's going for another one. This time he does get by Jack David Spickett without Jack having the chance to try and fight back. He does get a run, but it is hard to pass into turn 6. And considering last time we were here, turn 6 saw 3 separate wrecks for the lead in that very corner. I have a feeling drivers are going to be a little bit more circumspect.
Yeah, turn 6 is one of those corners you really have to treat with respect because it's a blind exit as you're coming out under the Corvette bridge. So Andy T opened up about 5-6 car length gap. Here's Logan Edwards trying to look to the inside. A little bit of a daring move there, but able to hold on to 21st there for the time being. Let's see if he can catch up going into Canada corner, but you got to make sure here, Joe, when you're trying to make these passes at Road America, that they've got to be set up just before the braking zone. As you're watching off the shoulder of Edwards, he's going to dive to the inside, and that's what I'm talking about. If you're not set up there, that's going to make life a little bit harder for you heading through into those corners.
Lack of aero screen hopefully helping the visual there of Logan Edwards as he chases Mascara. Coming up onto the main straight once again, only completing lap 2. Valenteus, again, a shock not to see him farther up the front, but he's going to fix that by passing Gabriel Martinez. That is P4 now for our number 1 rated driver. And can he catch up to Nico Lena? We haven't been showing the lead because they've just been single file up at the front. This is about the calmest it's been.
Yeah, and you know what? Not surprising that the cars behind the leaders are all trying to get somewhere around. Jacob Reed doing all he can to close in on Spickett. Spickett with a great race so far in 7th. Reed dives out. Not going to make it happen. Trying to get in those mirrors of Spickett heading uphill into turn number 6. And yeah, everybody just single file trying to feel out their cars for later on in the race. Seen a lot of drivers, Joe, taking their back wheels onto those additional rumble strips there on the exit. Those were only put in back in 2007. And while drivers are getting used to it, sometimes they can catch you out if you just hit them the wrong way.
Exactly, especially with how low slung these cars are. These are the origin of the ground effects machines, which are now out of current F1 with them changing the rules coming into 2026. Josephine Becker sitting in 12th. That is Gernot Frische ahead of her that she is chasing. Again, another testament to the level that we are racing at. Gernot Frische, who has the most wins of anybody ever in this series, is currently outside the top 10 in this group. But Becker, who has been on strength after strength lately, is trying to chase him down. They're behind Raul Guardia, who is in that top 10 just ahead. Up and over Bill Mitchell Bend, and that was quite a moment there for Josephine Becker over the crest.
Yeah, you really got to get it all right through turn number 13. It's Courtney try to hold off Leno for second place. Leno's going to go high, wide, and handsome. Has the nose out front. Oh, that's for the lead. I'm sorry. Courtney has rolled in. You're right. It's a little bit of a slide there for Courtney. He's going to lose second and now into third. So that nose out front, no, that lost him just a little bit. Valenteus now sits in third place. So the Turk, he's not exactly safe from the lead as there are some very fast drivers behind who are trying to get there. But Courtney all over the back gearbox of Valenteus.
Boy, that cost Topi quite a bit, but Michael has showed up to fight today. This has been some fierce stuff. Now that we finally got an attempt for the lead, it was over very quickly with maybe just a little bit of contact between them. Valenteus up onto the podium, but he still has to chase down Miko. And, of course, our leader, Turk. There's about 1.7 seconds between them. Topi already trying to find his way back is on the defense instead. That's Gabriel Martinez that I'm realizing is rocked up behind him.
Well, of course, also Andy T with the fastest lap of the race thus far, so he's already challenging Martinez for that 5th spot. Though Martinez, I don't know if I make that pass into the kink. He's going to try it as they go side by side. Oh, that was absolutely Kettle. What a fantastic pass. Look at this now. We're going side by side through Kettle Bottoms, heading into Canada Corners. Andy T, he's the interested spectator in all this. Spickett gets up there. Now Courtney's going to have to deal with Andy T. So Courtney goes from second all the way back to sixth.
Wow. And JDS with some unbelievable moves already. We're only 4 laps in, nearly 5 laps now into this race. That bumps him up into P5 between that over-under, getting 2 cars back. And now this, Andy T is trying to play catch-up with him, only getting up to 6th position now at this stage. Granted, he's gained as many spots that Jack David Spick has behind them, side by side between Reed and Guardia, as Raul is able to take that 9th place. Timothy gets slotted back into 10th. This is frantic stuff from, I guess you'd say 6 all the way down to about 11th or 12th place. This is what we tend to expect here, Jeremy, with this slipstream racing.
And Joe, I think Toby may have copped some damage there in that last lap incident, because you don't see him fall back this much, this quick. Oh, a little bit of a tap there. So he gets some more damage right there as Reed gives him a little bit of a shove almost into the gravel trap. But Frisha sitting up there in 14th, he's got a couple laps, so he might be able to catch up. We got a replay coming up, and I believe this is going to be that incident that we mentioned here. And I think, yeah, there might have been just a little bit of a hip check into the gravel trap there into turn number 1, but Courtney able to get back underway as he's fallen from the lead all the way to 10th in about a lap and a half.
The only thing I could think that would cause damage for Topi would either be going over those outside curbs as he's wheel to wheel with Josephine Becker, and she muscles him out of the way and is going to try and take that 10th spot while behind them there is more 2x2. Shady Ahmad is also going to be able to overtake, and I think you are right that he must have gotten some sort of damage. He struggles to get the power down off the corner, and he is bleeding spots left and right, and that causes Karthik Pai to have to dive off the track as Dylan Freckleton is the latest to go by.
And somebody went off. I'm not sure who that was. Yeah, right there. That was, Karthik Pai, that went off. I just saw it for just a second, and that's easy to do there. But now Courtney down to 14th. He might even be down to, he's actually up to 13th, as he and Freckleton still in a battle for position, as Frisha well within distance of striking should the iron get hot in turn number 5. And the way that Courtney's been falling down the field, would not be surprised to see it happen sooner than later. Josephine Becker sitting there in 10th spot. Oh, what a nice pass there as she gets her way around Ahmad. But Ahmad going to try and get a nose out there heading into turn number 5. They're side by side, and Thiessen back there as well, trying to see if he can make it 3 wide in turn 5, but he chooses to stick back and let them two race.
Oh, no, well, very late braking, though, sends him right back into it. Although I think he struggled to get off the corner. He's got the inside up into turn 6. Has he got this done? Josephine is a fierce fighter, as we've seen. But she has to give up the ghost coming down through turn 7 eventually. Back to Jack David Spickett and Gabri Martinez. And it looks like JDS is currently into 4th. In fact, I think he must have made that pass just recently to get by Gabri. We got another replay happening here, and this is what happened to Karthik Pai. I think maybe he just kind of ran out of track. I'm just trying to see if he actually had any contact. Oh, he did! Big contact. Car popped up into the air.
Hopefully he didn't get too much damage from that, but yeah, that's damage. That's damage. Yeah, you definitely want to make sure you stay off that access road there. As Frisha trying to hold on to 14th, as Courtney now is going to attack back, has that 14th for the time being, and still a lot going on. It looks like Becker's falling back as well. So Josephine Becker in a great battle here with these two. Not sure what happened, going from 10th all the way back to 14th, but nonetheless able to make that everybody kind of spinning out so far. Take a breather for the first third of the race.
Martinez trying to fight back on Spickett, and they're pulling along. Andy T and Jacob Reed. Those two names being in your mirrors should elicit a little bit of fretting, I would imagine, from our drivers up ahead. And here comes Andy T. He's got to run. Is he going to go for it is the question. Martinez is going to cover the middle of the track, but T is as late as he dares onto the brakes, and he says, you cannot hold me back. Although he's a little slow off of turn 5. Once again, we've seen the inside of turn 6 is how you get it done.
And of course, that's going to happen right there in that short straightaway between 5 and 6. You don't want to get off on the brakes too hard, because you could end up taking yourself and your competitor into that short gravel trap. Driver's right coming off of 5. But now T, he's really starting to show that speed that we all know. He might be able to get onto the podium. He's still got to catch up to Spickett. But then again, you've got Turk, who's opened up a half-second lead, and Leno and Valenteus also up there as well. Josephine Becker now up to 12. So whatever happened there, able to catch back up to the tail end of that top 10 battle. Is working their way through the kink once again. You've got Ahmad, Thiessen, and Becker right there in line. As look at the neat Thiessen trying to go with his contact. 1, 2, 3. Becker gets the better out of it, but two of them, Ahmad and looks like Thiessen, all involved.
Yeah, and that was Nick just sending it in a little bit too deep, I fear, and that's an understatement, I must say, as the Dutch driver wound up losing a bunch of spots, and so did Ahmad in that one. It looks like another driver going to be able to overtake here. That is Logan Edwards with a run in front of them. Aaron Blair on Gerdot, Freesia on top of things, so 2 by 2 coming up into the first corner. It does look like Logan's got that one done. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick is experiencing some damage of his own. The ferocity of this fighting is making it feel more like this is tryouts for the Packers down the road than it is racing here today.
I was just about to say, I'm wondering if the Sheboygan High School, or the Plymouth High School football coaches here doing some sort of training, because, there's been a lot of hip checking, a lot of moving out of the way, something you rarely see here at Road America. Miko Leno closing in on the lead, and here's the replay of that, Joe. Let's see exactly, and like you said, just set too hard, and that's one thing that we mentioned. You want to make sure that you're setting up that pass.
Yeah, so that's Nick getting into Shady, and Josephine kind of was trying to avoid it, but just got collected in all of it as well. We have to remember, one thing we haven't touched on here, Jeremy, the long straights means most of these drivers are probably lacking downforce. So I have a feeling that trying to make some of these corners and break that late has been what's catching some of them out.
No, it really is, and these corners come up on you fast. Look at this battle here at the bottom half of the top 20. You got Diego Ortiz thick within this. Of course, because of that incident, you got a couple drivers who fallen back near that as well. You see Court Nemi's involved in that as well, but still lots of dancing around, and it's catching a lot of these guys out. I'm surprised that a lot of them haven't done that, done practice races just to get used to it.
Nice little run from Mosquera here, trying to get by Karthik Pai. Ortiz working on a battle with Thiessen as they're led, like you said, by Kortanimi at the front. Highly unusual to see that number 3 this far down, and in fact, he's on the outside of turn 1. Last time that happened, didn't go well for him. This time, he keeps from making the contact, and I think Ortiz has gotten by Valenteus in the meantime. Wheel to wheel with Miko Leno for second place. He's run him down. And they hold on wheel to wheel coming through turn 6. That is difficult to do. Just as hard through turn 7. Neither willing to give way, but Valenteus comes out victorious. Can he catch Michael de Turk 1.3 seconds up the road?
Well, if there's anybody who can do it, it's going to be Andres Valenteus. As we're watching Andy T, he was really loving that battle too, because that gave him a chance to catch up. But does Andy T have enough to make a battle of this up at the front? He's got Spickett and Martinez behind as well. But man, I'll tell you what, Valenteus cannot shake off Leno as they work their way through Canada corner. You've got Andy T, your points leader, sitting in fourth. A very odd race qualifying, as Joe, we saw he qualified near the back of the top 10. Was a struggle for him to get to where he's at now, so hopefully he didn't burn off too much tires. This is about the time of the race where you start to set yourself up for the long game, and if you burned off your tires too early, it's going to make life just a little bit difficult for you later on.
absolutely will. So, yeah, if you haven't saved your stuff, you're going to have some trouble without that downforce on the car. ADT setting fastest lap of the race. We wondered whether or not Andy could catch up to the leaders. It's looking good as we still have half the race left to go. I was able to dig up in my stats, and if this is accurate, Michael de Turk has not won for 5 years. I'm not talking 5 seasons in iRacing. 5 years since Michael has stood on the top step of the podium. He's going to be hungry.
Log that down in case we have a commentator's curse, those of you in the chat, because I'm not just saying, but we've seen de Turk, in spite of having some assaults there for the lead, he's been able to hold off some very fast comers. But the question is, if Valenteus can keep up, can he can de Turk hold off Valenteus? That is the question. He's already gained 0.2 of a second in just that sector alone. We still got plenty of time left to go in this race. Anything can happen, but de Turk really setting the world on fire here in this race. Of course, it doesn't help Valenteus that Leno still all over the back gearbox of the second place driver, and Andy T now 1 second behind this battle for second place. So there's a lot of moving pieces, Joe, that could affect the battle for the lead, and I think the second, third, fourth battle between Valenteus, Leno, and T, I think that's really gonna hamper any chance that the fast man has to catch up to the leader.
Yeah, I think if Miko can hold in the slipstream of Audrius, that could help him complicate things, at least for Audrius, to allow Michael a better chance at this one. But if it is just Audrius on his own catching up, that's going to be difficult to try and defend off of a multi-time winner. But Andy T also hoping to try and involve himself here, has about just over a second to make up to that next group. Last lap by Valenteus was actually slower, but it was by half of a tenth over over Michael de Turk. So I don't think this is over quite yet. We'll watch this lap to see if he starts to gain on him and whether or not Audrius can get that slipstream to try to start to reel him in. This is perhaps the first time in a long time we've seen at least a little bit more of a calm track, especially up at the front. I only see one real battle up and down the field at this stage. Considering how much action we've had, it's nice to finally get a breather.
I was able to take a sip of water, which is absolutely fantastic. Andy T now closing in 0.8 of a second off the back of Leno. So that's going to be an interesting little piece of information once they get onto that further back straightaway, which will come right after the kink. You're on board with the points leader making his way through the kink, and I think he's going to start to reel in this battle for second place. That's going to make life a lot more difficult for Valenteus, who is still trying to get into that slipstream of de Turk, which could be any moment now. Could be at the next straightaway. Oh, a little bit of gravel there. So somebody kicked up, made a visit through the beach in Canada corner. Either way, this battle for second place is going to heat up faster than anything across the way at the barbecue joint.
Yeah, the second sector, he was 0.2 of a second faster than anybody else in this top group. So yeah, he is definitely pushing it now. And this latest sector, let's see how he looks in comparison. He was again the quickest, this time though, only by about half a tenth over Valenteus, but everybody else, he was definitely the fastest of anybody. He is running them down. Logan Edwards chasing on Josephine Becker. She doesn't fight this time, maybe trying to think a little bit bigger picture as she allows Logan into 13th.
Yeah, the long game. That's what Becker's playing. No surprise here. This is one of her better seasons so far. So we've got one car slow coming out of the pits, I should say. There's Nick Thiessen, who's been having nothing but issues, of course. Didn't help. He had a soft brake pedal going into Canada corner just a couple of laps ago. This is actually Becker's first season in F1, so that's absolutely fantastic. You're defending F2 champion. Still lots to play for here, though, as you see now drivers starting to really size up their competition for the closing stanza of this race. And it's going to be interesting to see how much these drivers decide they want to battle each other near the end.
Yeah, that slow car coming out was Shady Ahmad. He's the only driver a lap down at this stage. He had to repair damage to try and get back into it. As we're watching Nick, I can report that T is absolutely in the slipstream now and is catching second and third. So that fight for best of the rest is starting to look a lot hotter. Granted, Valenteis, let's see, what is his last lap looking like? Yeah, Valenteis was 2/10 quicker than de Turk this time by. Let's see what the lap times look like between all of them. 50.2 for de Turk. Valenteis, who gets overtaken by Leno, was actually slower this time. So Michaels turned on the afterburners, but so has Miko, who now moves himself back up into P2. Now, that said, that could be the quicker way to catch them, Jeremy, if they play a successful game of leapfrog, but that's going to have to take some real working together.
If you've watched any sort of grand cycling, you know that, the switch line, that helps out the best. So that probably would help out, especially now that Andy T is closing in on the back of Valenteis. So I think if Andy T gets in there, you're going to see a pace line that might be able to catch up to de Turk. But de Turk, he's opening up a gap slowly but surely between he and that battle for second place. As you see Leno doing all he can to keep Valenteis behind. And you mentioned somebody you don't want in your mirrors. It is that maroon number 1 that you definitely do not want to see at all back there. That should elicit fear in any driver.
Yeah, Andreas has won many championships down in the Lotus 49s. Very different car, but still a similar community to this one. And he's been racing here and has been working hard to try and see if he can make inroads, but it is definitely the most difficult of the three to master, as he discovered through Canada Corner, going just a little bit off. And now Andy T, no doubt, smells blood in the water. Can he do anything with it? No, the car slips loose in the final corner, and that's exactly when he needed a good exit.
Yeah, because you got that uphill, so you really got to make sure that you have that slipstream. Although Andy T might be setting up for something heading into turn number 5. Let's keep an eye on that number 4. As Jacob Reed, look at that, the first driver out of the 50s. Your fastest lap of the race thus far, but he is sitting way back there in 7th place. Odd to say that Jacob Reed is quote-unquote way back, but he's on the back of Martinez for 6th place.
We may have had, Josephine Becker. She must have also got damaged because she's coming to pit lane as Valenteis is not only having to attack but defend at the same time. Andy T cannot get through. Andreas knows he is in a pickle here. He needs to try and get by Miko and quickly, or else Andy T is going to be a serious problem for him.
Yeah, Andy T just like all over the back of Valenteis. It's going to be not a matter of if, but when we start to see our points leader do something. Here's Courtney right now in a position for 18th, trying to hold off a little bit of contact there, but not too much. Flip Folt involved with that. The Chechenian driver trying to get back into that 18th spot. Not going to make it happen thus far. So whatever Topi has ailing him, able to at least hold on to something there in the top 20. You
can see how much Topi is struggling as the car once again got loose coming out of turn 7. He is on the back foot in a big way. This is no doubt going to be a drop round for him points-wise. As for those not tuning in regularly, this is highly atypical out of the Finn. Andy T, also atypical for him to be in 4th, fighting to just get onto the podium, and about 2.5 seconds behind Michael de Turk, who continues to try to pull away. That time Miko was just mildly quicker, but it is again down to usually hundredths. And this is over a 4-mile lap, Jeremy, that there is a difference between these top 4. It is the smallest of margins.
It really is, and especially here, but it's interesting that the Turk has been able to stave off the draft for most of the race, so that might come into play a little bit later on. We'll see if the tires decide that they want to nope out of here. T looking to the inside of Valenteis, not going to make it happen as Valenteis tried to look to the inside of Leno going into turn number 5. Of course, you've got Spigot not back there as well. So this three-car battle for second, Joe, might quickly turn into a four-car battle if neither of these three drivers can make something happen. In fact, I wouldn't even be surprised to see if the Martinez group would be there. And look at this group here.
Topi Kortsanemi again trying to play defense as Vogt has been hassling him, and he's got more friends with him. Look at them all fan out coming down into turn 5. This is about to get a little bit crazy here, and I think that is Peter Jurka on the outside trying to also make it a fight. Vogt's unable to try and work around turn 5 and has to slip back into line as drivers are all over the place. Cam Porter is in here. You've got Krakowiak and Tuba in this 5-man group.
Well, Kortsanemi trying to hold off Vogt just a little bit, and Vogt gets a little bit of a tap, so he's going to lose one spot, maybe two, heading into Canada Corner. Sorry, not Canada Corner, that's the carousel, and he apparently needs some more caffeine as Vogt holding off Porter as well. Porter's going to go high, wide, and handsome. So yeah, one little bump, Joe, could cost you several positions, and with 6 laps to go, 5 at the line, you definitely don't want anything happening. It's Andy T. Looks to the inside of Valenteus. He's got to think better of it through one.
Ooh, that was close. I was hoping we didn't see a repeat of what we saw earlier in the race when the battle for the lead erupted. But T has cost Valenteus some time on Miko. You could see he's pulled just a tiny bit of a gap. I'm not sure if that's going to be enough to run away from them. Although under braking, oh, that was too deep. Audrius is under threat once again. T thinks about it up into turn 6, and he does get some room from Valenteus, but not enough, and he has to sit back.
I thought Valenteus lost third there, but the good news is he's able to hold off T for the time being. That's given Leno a chance for some breathing room under the Speedville Bridge, working their way around the carousel once again. Now it's going to be 5 laps to go when they cross the line, but man, Valenteus showing that he is indeed human, as a little bit of a slip-up almost cost him the podium.
Yeah, alien driver obviously does have some weaknesses here and there, but it is rare to spot them. He has to go defensive coming down into Canada Corner, and he just about feeds the 80 car out to the edge of the track, giving ADT enough room, but forcing him to have to back out.
Look at JDS sitting back there. We mentioned that he might be one to watch. Thought it was going to be a 4-car battle for second place, but Spickett closing in on your points leader. What an interesting turn of events we've seen here in the past couple of laps. Well within that slipstream, but Spickett's just going to hold off right now, not going to take a look to the inside, because he knows there's going to be a better opportunity here in just a couple of corners. The 5th place driver there really reeled in this group here, Valenteus, T, and Spickett. And you talk about how high the SOF is here. I wonder what the SOF here is between these 3 drivers, because that you're not going to see that much.
Somewhere in the 7,000s, I can say. Andy T, again, forcing a defensive move from Valenteus down into turn 5. Does not make it stick. But yeah, 6,000 for Miko, Audrius at about 8,000, and Andy T at about 7,000. And then Jack David Spickett at about 5,000 at the lowest. And when 5,400 is your lowest in a group, you know it is incredibly stacked. But these 3 are starting to lose touch with the number 6 up in P2. This is not working out well for Audrius.
No, it's not, and whatever setup that he used just is not working, as Miko Leno has opened up a 1.5 second gap, so Valenteus is 3 seconds behind the lead. Think about that. Mike DeTurk has opened up 3 seconds on Audrius Valenteus, as once again, T's going to look around the outside, not going to make it happen, but see Spickett really closing in on Andy T. Does he make the move into turn number 14? Man, I've got to say this. He's like flies on wallpaper.
We opened up this broadcast pointing out the differences between the first 2 rounds being at very tight technical courses, and now we're at this fast, long, straight track, and what a difference a week makes. Andy T is still fighting to get onto the podium. This time, the door's left open. Valenteus did not defend. T goes down to the inside, and as hard as he tries to overtake, Andreas is once again going to rebuff him, which shocks me. I thought for sure he was far enough alongside that Andy was going to get that one done.
Well, was it a purposeful door open or was it accidental? My money is that Valenteus goaded him into going to the inside, try and make T fall back. Now they're side by side going into turn number 5. So T will have the wide line, but Valenteus gets the good line, shoves him off into the rumble strips, and that gives Spigot a chance for 4th. Now he wants 3rd, but Spigot trying to hold off T. T falls back to 5th. Here comes Spigot for 3rd.
Jack David Spigot, and I hope he doesn't take offense to this, but he has been the vulture today. If there are any pieces to pick up, he is there. Think of all the moves that we've seen out of him that have started because other drivers were distracted by one another, and he just took advantage of everything. He is now up in a P4, having gained 3 spots where he started. T also up 3 positions since the beginning of this race. What a wild one we've witnessed.
And that's the thing. We're not watching battles for the lead. Here comes T to the inside of JDS. Gonna make the pass stick 4 now, but where will the over-under happen as Spigot closes in on T for 4th place, but T able to get a better launch off of 13. Now sets his sights on Valenteus, but Spigot's not gonna make it easy on him. Headed down the straightaway.
Valenteus was way wide on that last corner, and I'm pretty sure he knows it. T is coming fast. Can he manage to get by this time? Again, Andreas leaves the door open, but we know he can defend. This time, though, he doesn't have the nose ahead. Under braking, he is way far into the corner, too far into the corner. T is finally by, and Jack David Spigot does those JDS things. He picks it up once again and takes 4th.
What a rare sequence of events that we have seen with Valenteus falling back to the tail end of the top 5. By the way, Leno now 3 seconds ahead of Andy T for position. We're on board with Valenteus. Let's see what Andreas can do in the turn 5. He's going to think better of it, but Spigot goes to the outside. Not going to make it happen. Both those drivers slide in. Here comes Valenteus. 3 wide into turn number 6. Gets 3rd place right back. But for how long is T? Goes around the outside contact. And both those drivers maybe out of the running as now they get a bigger group to close in.
Turn 6 strikes again. We saw it last time they visited here, but it was for the lead. This time it was for the podium positions. It looks like Gabriel Martinez is able to work his way past Andy T and into 5th, but you are right. They are way behind the lead cars. Spigot is already 5 seconds behind, and Andy T is off the course and done.
That's got to be some sort of damage because that left rear just separated too easy in contact. Here comes Gabriel Martinez on Valenteus for 4th place. So Valenteus suffering from damage just a little bit. Martinez makes it look easy. Valenteus falls into 5th. Jacob Reed, the Reeds, I should say, are 6th and 7th with Timothy Reed, fastest lap of the race last time by. There'll be 2 laps to go, but look at the gap now between DeTurk and Leno. It's less than a second. Could the equipment be falling off for DeTurk? Or is Leno, has he saved enough? He has. 49.5 is the fastest lap of the race.
Oof, and that was about 0.4 of a second faster than DeTurk last time by, as Jacob Reed is going to be able to get by Valenteus now, who no doubt is experiencing a little bit of damage. So this is what started it. And if we could stick with Andy T here after this initial incident, he got caught up with Guardia in the carousel. Yeah, it just a clumsy little side-by-side through turn 6. I said that is a dangerous spot to try and fight, and once again, it proves itself. Looks like Martinez is going to be able to get through in through the hurried downs, and that is Guardia behind. Now, T might be damaged because he's slow through this corner, and then suddenly, almost not expecting it, yeah, it looks like a little bit of a slide from Andy, and Guardia catches the back end of the car, both of them off into the gravel, but it is T who comes off the worst.
And yeah, it looked like to me, I might be mistaken, but it looked like T kind of pinched down Valenteus to try and stave off another attack going into 7, and that's where the two of them made contact, and one thing after another, and that's part of the reason why Andy T is out of this race. 1.1 seconds separates the Turk from Leno. Any other track, it would be plenty of breathing room, but here at Road America, Joe, it's not much room as they come off of headed through turn number 14 for the penultimate time at speed. De Turk trying to do all he can to go lights to flag here at the National Park of Speed. 1 lap to go for De Turk.
First two sectors, they traded 0.2 of a second back and forth. White flag is out. That last lap was just about 100th quicker from Michael de Turk. He's pushing as hard as he can, knowing that he needs to try and keep the slipstream away. But Jacob Reed is our quickest driver of anybody, taking the 2 bonus points currently for the fastest lap of the race. He's flanked by Gabri Martinez and Timothy Reed. Usually it's Martinez we're talking about, who is in the thick of all the action and causing all kinds of chaos. But instead it's everybody around him, and he's the one that is able to grab the scraps that people are leaving on the table, although Reed wants his piece back.
Still plenty of time there between the Reeds for position as you're watching through turn number 6. By the way, de Turk is now going to have to hold off Leno as Leno's close to half the distance.
It's not going to be many opportunities, though, as we watch de Turk on the top right of your screen. Jacob Reed here still working on Martinez down through the carousel, trying to get some clean air going wide into the corner to get some downforce on that car. It is still at about 7 to 6/10 of a second between our top two. So I don't think that Miko is close enough unless we get a bad exit from de Turk out of the final corner. Side by side, Martinez on the defense, coming down into Canada corner. Can he do it the long way around? Not quite for Jacob Reed, and he has to back out of it. But up at the front, Michael de Turk has waited 5 years, and today he's finally going to get another win here in the Sunday Grand Prix Series.
A little bit of a donut there as Martinez trying to get up there to 4th place, and at the line he's going to lose it. Give 4th place to Reed as Martinez gets 5th place. 6 goes to Timothy Reed, but that was a fantastic battle for position there as well.
0.003 of a second between Jacob and Gabri. That was great stuff. Karthik Pai recovering after going off track at one point. Ortiz is going to beat him to that 12th place, though. Karthik and lucky number 13 today. A lot of drivers, I think, maybe finishing farther down than they're used to with how many people we had, including this driver, the number 3. Remember, that number is by your iRating, and he is looking at 20th today. I am almost certain that it was some sort of damage on the car for Topi Kortaniemi, because otherwise he would have been much farther up. So he's going to be maybe a little bit frustrated by the end of this one, especially since it started so early. Speaking of some donuts, some beautiful perfect circles here down in the runoff of turn 5 from our winner.
And well-deserved as well. What a fantastic race. Darn near flawless out of de Turk. And absolutely fantastic. And you got to give a hand to Mika Leno, who tried to close in on de Turk there, but I think it was just too little too late. Could have gotten away from Valenteus, but really Valenteus made life difficult for our 2nd place driver. And all in all, it was a fantastic race all throughout the field.
Whew. Well, let's go through that finishing order today as Michael de Turk finally gets another win. Miko Leno was second, 0.5 of a second behind him, half a second back, with Jack David Spickett finishing 6 seconds back, but he was a lot closer for much of the race. He'll get P3. Jacob Reed was P4. Gabri Martinez eventually winding up 5th. We have to remember he qualified 3rd. I think it was just such a stacked field that that's why he fell downward, despite that being, I think, a great finish for him. Timothy Reed, P6. Valenteus has to settle for 7th after getting tangled up late in the race. Guardia somehow comes away with an 8th, being involved in some of that action. Dylan Freckleton was 9th, and Aaron Blair rounds out your top 10.
Boy, the bottom half of the top 20 reads very, very strange, to say the least, as Logan Edwards sits in 11th, Diego Ortiz and Karthik Pai 13th, and Gernot Frischa and Jean-Francois Boscus round out your top 15. Peter Jurka, Philippe Fote, Cam Porter with an 18th place finish, Julius Mueller and Topi Courtnemy, who, like we said, we think suffered some damage, rounds out your top 20, Joe.
JP Ringwood was 21st, followed by Matt Cockrum in 22nd. Nick Tisson all the way down in 23rd. Morera was P24 today, as you have Jason Krakowiak in 25th. And first one to lap down was Javier Mascara at 26. Mostly all these cars ran into some big trouble being lapped. It wasn't by pure pace. Shady Ahmad 28th, Beatrice Yank in the 29th. Thomas Tuba, interestingly, got a black flag for incident limits, wound up 29th. Andy T, a DNF today in 30th. And same thing with Josephine Becker, unable to finish the race. And we have the man of the hour with us, Michael DeTurk, ready to chat about what must have been a hard-fought win. First off, Michael, you shocked us with the pole. We were not expecting that. And then you impressed us with the pace. It looked like you had to really push to keep them behind.
Yeah, I really thought I was screwed for pole. You know, when you don't put that second lap in, it's usually not a good sign. But you know, I think Andy also had a off track on his second lap, and some other people had some issues, and the conditions were pretty wildly different from some of the stuff we've raced earlier in the week. So I just got a little lucky.
And I do not mean this as a slight on you, because like I said, we typically did not expect you to be going for pole and then for the wins with how much talent is in this series. What was going through your head as you see names like Reed and Valenteus and T trying to chase you down? Did you feel confident you could hold on to that top spot?
I got pretty lucky. You know, you had Valenteus get behind Leno, and you know, then he pulled him off, and then Andy got behind Miko got behind Valenteus, and then he pulled him off. Then Andy got behind Valenteus, and he pulled him off. So you know, it kind of just worked out for me in that sense, where they all wanted to fight each other, and it gave me a little bit of breathing room. But you know, I'm soaked. I was full push, you know, trying to do quality laps the entire race, and clearly had a little bit more wing than those guys. So, you know, I don't take that as a slight at all, Joe. I'm quick. I'm not necessarily fast. And it's, as judging by the stat sheet, once in a blue moon when I win. So I'll take it.
You know, we were talking about that too. From what we could tell, 5 years since the last one. Are we going to have to wait another 5 years, or is Spa, with it being a little bit of a similar track, going to offer another chance?
I'm going to race Spa next week. So, you know, there's always a chance. You can put whatever meme behind that you want. Yeah, it's been a while. You know, I haven't raced 79 regularly in a couple of years. I think my last appearance in the series was exactly a year ago, you know, and I only raced 3 or 4 rounds then. I probably will only race Spa again this season. But yeah, it's been a while, and you know, with a field that stacked with talent, it takes a little bit of luck and a little bit of skill, and hopefully they hit at the same time.
Well, again, congratulations, and you denied a lot of people the I Win award on iRacing today.
I do my best. I do my best.
That's Michael DeTurk, your victor. For those not aware, Michael is a part of the iRacing staff. So if you beat him, you can get that achievement on iRacing. In the meantime, I do believe that we've got Jeremy Scott chatting with Topi Courtnemy.
And let's talk to Topi Courtnemy, 20th spot, not a place you normally see it in. Let's talk about that incident where he tried to go for the battle close to the lead there in turn 1.
Yeah, to do something I had a chance, but apparently it's not a good idea to stick it to the outside in the turn 1. But anyway, yeah, I think I got some sideboard damage. I wasn't aware of that until the end of the race. But I don't know if you guys saw, but I had some of the greatest battles dropping down the field. It was fun.
Well, either way, in spite of all that, you still gave us some great battles there. You would have a group of cars catch up to you. How frantic of a race was it for you in the cockpit? Because it looked like from where we were, Joe and I were sitting, it was an extremely frantic battle for position.
Yeah, for some reason the car got quite loose. Maybe that's the sideboard damage. I'm not sure if I had the wheel damage. At least my spotter didn't report anything, and there was nothing fancy with the tire wear. So I think I was just losing so much aero, and it was a handful.
Well, either way, it was an absolutely banger of a race. Next week, another track which produces some great races, especially for the Lotus 79s. It is Spa-Francorchamps. So what are you looking forward to most?
The best race of the season, because I don't know if you remember, it was 2025 season 2. It was Spa. It was a dry race, but on the last laps there was like 8 cars into 1 second. It was one of the best races.
It's a very similar racetrack to Road America. Heck, even Road America is called the Spa of North America. Topi, great to see you here, but regardless, a fantastic race nonetheless, in spite of the finishing position.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy.
Very strange to see Topi there, but we get to talk. I'm going to have Joe talk to somebody else who is very well known to the GSRC family.
Indeed, Cam Porter, and actually had a pretty good finish today, especially considering it was a top split of 3, 11 positions gained, Cam. And in spite of getting so many spots, I'm afraid to say we were a little bit focused up front because it was quite a battle. So tell us a little bit about some of the action that we may have missed from you.
That was an intense, frantic race the entire time. Oh my gosh. I understand you guys have to focus on the lead battles, but oh my gosh. In the mid-pack, it was insane. So many positions changed, so many cars close to each other, wheel banging, car contact. Thankfully, nobody was wrecking because of these contacts, but I saw some of the faster guys had some trouble. We caught up to them. Toby was doing an incredible defensive drive, even with a damaged car. So I feel lucky, very lucky to have passed Toby on the penultimate lap there, going into white flag. Very amazing driver. Just sorry to see him have damage, but congratulations to Michael for his win, and I am very thrilled, being car 31, the lowest rated driver in the room, to get up 11 spots in the race. So that was really, really incredible for me.
Yeah, we had mentioned that your 3K is still kind of wild to see it as the lowest. What was your thoughts gridding up? You weren't completely last there, 29th, but surely there had to have been a kind of a monumental task feeling ahead of you.
Yeah, historically, I haven't raced this series in quite a bit. Last year, I was focusing on my Lotus 79 efforts on the Vintage Grand Prix Tour, so I wasn't racing this series regularly. But I decided to come back to it this season because the Vintage Grand Prix Tour is in a hiatus right now. I don't know if it's coming back for 2026. So, Michael, hopefully it's coming back. I'm looking for some different cars to race. So coming back to Lotus 79, I think is a fun way to do that, just to get something different in. Obviously, starting with a great race today is a good way to get back into the series.
The bar has been set very high, no doubt. We're glad to have you back, and congratulations on a top 20 today.
Thanks, Joe. See you next week.
That was Cam Porter finishing 18th in the end, which is going to wrap us up. Of course, we want to give a big thank you to the community for bringing us back for another season of coverage, as well as thanks to the team today, Jeremy, Daniel, and Dougie. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss a moment here on GSRC. We mentioned it. The next track is going to be Spa-Francorchamps, another high-speed track, maybe with a lot more sweeping corners than this one, though, I will say. That'll be January 11th, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. We do have some other series on the channel in case you want some other flavor, including the Skip Barber Race Series, going to Lebanon. Very short and very twisty track. So it'll be a little bit slower speeds, but it'll be a lot of action. Be sure to check out all of our other broadcasts that we have listed here. And until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.
This is iRacing.